Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. My name is Aaron Richmond. Today, we're going to go over to Nigeria today and talk to somebody by the name of Confidence. Courtesy thereof, in other words, we got this guest from speaking to the great Mariana Barbu from Romania. And I asked Mariana, I said, who should I speak to next? And she said, well, there's this guy from Nigeria. He's got a PhD and an organization over there in Nigeria who's doing great stuff for blind people and really anybody. And his name is Confidence. So, Confidence, why don't you kind of walk through your story, your life story about who you are as a person, how you, obtained your PhD in Nigeria, what you do, and everything like that. So why don't you go from the top and walk through your whole life story, and I'll mute my microphone and go over to you. Go right ahead.
All right. Thank you so very much, Aaron Richmond, for giving me this opportunity to be on this podcast. My name, like you said, is Confidence. And my full names are Confidence Onyeka Chukwuemezie. I am from Nigeria. And by His grace, I am of the Special Education Department, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And I'm also the Deputy Director, Disabilities Support Unit, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And like you also said, I have a charity, Confidence Visionary Scholars Foundation. And I got blind at the age of 6. And from that time up until now, I've been living with blindness or visual impairment. I studied my primary school education as a primary school as a blind person too. My university, I came into the university to do my first program on social work and community development. That was a diploma program. I finished that. I did my degree program in sociology and anthropology. And I finished my BSc. I did a program in education, which was a postgraduate diploma in education. I finished that as well. I started my master's in peace and conflict studies, finished, and then moved on to do my PhD in same field, peace and conflict studies. I'm married. I have 4 kids, and I have a good relationship with my employer, and a few other things that you'd like to know about me. Thank you.
Wonderful. There's a lot I want to know about you, and I already love everything you've said, man. Really good. So, yeah. So, what can you tell me when it comes to, the part of Nigeria that you actually grew up in? Nigeria is a big place. So where in Nigeria did you grow up? And this will lead into my 2 next main questions. You've obviously spent many an hour and a tremendous amount of time thinking critically about cognition and sociology and our society these days. So what can you tell me about Nigerian people, Nigerian sociology, the society of your country of Nigeria? What can you tell me about education? And what can you tell me about peace, conflict, and resolution? Because, we're living in a world where there's not always peace and there's a lot of conflict and we could use some resolution. What do you really think? Really delve into it with me. Go right ahead.
First of all, I am from the part of Nigeria regarded as the eastern part of Nigeria. Precisely, I am from Anambra State. I had my primary education in Enugu State, Special Education for the Blind, Oji River. It's located in Enugu State. Let me also tell you that I started my work as a civil servant in Anambra State. That was how many years ago now? Maybe about 2 decades, more than 2 decades. That was where I started. I started as a social welfare officer in a local government area, and at that time, I was still trying to grapple with my education. I haven't had my BSc at that time, so I only had the diploma in social work and community development. So I started as a social welfare officer, and from there I moved to the state level. At the state level, I was a media man. I mean, a broadcaster in a television house and radio station as well. So I was producing programs like Arise and Shine, Viewpoint, Artist of the Week. By the way, I'm a musician, and so I handle a few programs in that aspect. And then talking about Nigeria. Nigeria is a good place with a lot of people who are determined to succeed in terms of persons living with disability. The major challenge here is the enabling environment. I think over there in the US, you have a better enabling environment to thrive. Unlike what we have here, the government hasn't got to the point where they factor us in everything they do, in the planning, in the budgeting, and all of that. So we still struggle on our own. I teach in the university, you know, I have to make available my resources. I mean, provide myself with all I need. Most of the things are not done by the government. The logistics are not there, but ultimately we are good. We are trying to find our feet around all of that. Now, to your next question about peace and conflict resolution. It's a field that is highly needed in today's world. Like you rightly pointed out, so many places are in crisis. You have crisis in Nigeria, Boko Haram. You have crisis in the southern part of Nigeria. You know, um, even in the southeast, the issue of IPOB, the Eastern Security Network, armed groups, non-state actors, all of that. So conflict resolution tries to find a way to deal with all of that and help the government, to know the best way to negotiate with these non-state actors. Because the violent act is already crippling the economy. It's already making so many things to go wrong, especially the community of persons with disability, their education, their good health. I mean, so their well-being is being affected because when you have constant gunshots, it's something that affects the mental well-being of people. The destruction of economic activities is also traced to these, violent acts, the armed conflict and all that. So in peace and conflict resolution, we try to find solutions to how we can talk to these people, this group of armed groups, and then profile some solutions using some theories. You have theories like scapegoating theory and a whole lot of them to deal with these conflict activities. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. You did really well kind of painting the picture there. And of course, a lot of that information I've already heard over the years from speaking to other great Nigerians as well. But absolutely. So when you were, growing up as a child, you said that you became blind at the age of 6. So,
Oh yeah.
so yeah. So do you remember that at all, by the way, Confidence? Do you remember becoming blind? What was the nature of your blindness? Now, for me, I was born blind, and my condition is glaucoma, and I also have a congenital heart defect as well. But now I'm 34 years old, so I've been blind, so far, my whole life up to this point. What about you? How did you become blind at 6? Hmm.
All right. I became blind at the age of 6. It could be traced to what we call measles.
Measles.
Measles. I don't know how it is called over there, but that's what
Measles.
we. Yeah, exactly. So that was what got me blind because it was not well managed early enough. You know. So I remember, you know, when I became blind, and I remember the years I was a sighted person, and I still remember things that I saw, those few years, especially when I was 3, 4, 5 years. I still remember a few things that I saw. And when I became blind, it wasn't totally blind. It's I could still see a bit until after a very long time. I think about 10, 15 years after I got totally blind. And so it's actually what happened. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very it's very frustrating and things like that. So, but yeah. So then what happened? I mean, obviously, let me phrase it like this, for someone to get a PhD in any country, they need a lot of support and a lot of motivation. So where did you find all this motivation to proceed forward and to just be educate, to move forward with your education and be successful? Where did you how did you find that? And what can you really tell me? Because most American people don't have the motivation to have a PhD. So it truly is special that you took the time to get a PhD. What can you really tell me about your like philosophy of education and knowledge and things like that?
Okay, for me in life, the the urge, the determination to do anything, it's personal. So first of all, you have to have that determination that you want to do something before you begin to look for people's support, people's attention, and get the motivation you need to do whatever you want to do. So I have made up my mind that I want to be a scholar. I made up my mind that I want to um, go into research. I want to be a researcher. And so when I started, it wasn't easy because you need to be up and doing, you need to read, you need to research. And sometimes you may not have the facilities like the computer. You may not have the facilities like the tape recorder, the assistive technology generally, for you to proceed. But you keep moving, keep pushing. Thank God I have a supportive family. My wife is there. She's always supportive. My children, by the way, my first son is 17. So he understands what education is, and we are all in it together. My classmates, my lecturers, and all the people who were, in the team, very many of them were supportive. And there were a few challenges, like I said, even the funding wasn't there. But because I have the determination, like I said, I have to push through. And the day of my defense was another experience because you have to stand and defend the projects, I mean, the thesis. And so the day of my defense, a whole lot of professors came, panel of, you know, judges. They were all there asking questions because they really wanted to know how I was able to put up a good thesis and how I was able to come to the point that among my classmates, I was the first to defend my PhD. and to finish my work. And so they were curious, they needed to know. Thank God I was able to defend and defend well. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's very, very fascinating, and we've heard of these things, these doctoral defenses and things like that. We've certainly heard of that, and that's really good. So, what exactly, like, what, walk us through it. What did you have to do to defend your knowledge, and exactly what project did you do for your PhD in peace conflict resolution? What were the topics that you had to speak about?
The topic of my thesis is unknown government and unknown government activities and persons with disability in Anambra State between 2015 to 2023. Let me say it again. The title is Unknown Government Activities and Persons Living with Disability in Anambra State between 2015 to 2023. And so the background study here gives you the idea about the armed conflict in Nigeria, the banditry, the IPOB, the other armed groups, banditries. We looked at it as a menace in the country because of the activities of these people burning public and private houses, killing people, and all of that. And the objective of the study actually is for us to examine to what extent this has disrupted the economic activities in Nigeria, to what extent the health and well-being of people who have been affected by the activities of this unknown government, and a whole lot of that. So that's the summary of my PhD thesis.
Excellent. And surely, excuse me, surely we know, and I know that from an American's perspective, absolutely not the influence of non-state actors, domestic terrorism, these types of matters obviously destroy a country, right? That's one of the most obvious ones. But what have you found? If you were really to, lecture on this topic, what are the effects of domestic terrorism and violence in a country? What exactly are those specific effects that would not be, common sense to me? What do you really think?
Well, I think that, first of all, in the course of my research, I think that some of these groups are they came out, they emerged rather due to marginalization. They feel marginalized, and a number of them also feel that they are not in the scheme of things. And so for them to make their voices to be heard, they have to start causing trouble. And so the government, as a matter of fact, should find a way to bring them to a negotiation table. You listen to them. Some agitations are not necessarily wrong, and you don't also think that it's wrong to negotiate with bandits and all of these non-state actors. The issue here is after negotiation and finding out the problem behind their activities, you will be able to solve the ones you can. And then if it continues, that's when you can wield the big rod of the government. So for me, the effects of the activities, it's numerous. Currently, in some parts of Nigeria, you can't go to farm. You can't have people freely move around to do their businesses. And many of these people are in IDP camps. So the effects are enormous. If you want me to narrow it down to persons with disability, I can tell you that in times of conflict, times of crisis, they are most likely to be affected. You know why? Because they depend on caregivers, they depend on people to help them move around. And if you don't have people who are willing to assist you in this kind of situation, you get cut off by the crossfire. And some of them have actually died, in the course of
Sure,
a
sure, sure, sure.
crisis zone,
Hmm.
you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Understood.
Mm.
Understood exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so the impact is that it makes you can say that with all this non-state actors and all this domestic terrorism in Nigeria, the answer is it affects Nigeria because it prevents Nigerian people from moving forward, conducting business and protecting people with disabilities who need help is what it all boils down to.
Exactly.
Understood.
Exactly.
Understood. Yeah, and I agree and I'm not ashamed to admit it at all, as a very confident and aggressive American guy, certainly I believe in never negotiating with a terrorist because the mentality and the mindset of a terrorist is not one to be negotiated. But it's also accurate to say that some of these groups and some of these non-state actors are people who are marginalized in some sense of the imagination or reality. And so, yes, I would say that never negotiate with a terrorist. But if there are political things that can be done, ways of negotiating, ways of bringing people to the table to talk about resolving these issues, that everybody would benefit if these issues would be resolved. Oftentimes, and I'm someone who studied international relations. So I'm sure that you are a little bit familiar with some of those theories too that we talk about, right? So, for example, a lot of people would say, I'm a hawk, is how I would be. Somebody who wants countries to be strong. I believe in, a strong military, strong national defense. I believe, as
Mm.
we say theoretically, I believe I believe in sticks rather than carrots. I'm a stick guy, not a carrot guy, in other words.
That's
So
fine.
exactly, you understood, right? So as far as I'm concerned, we have to hit the rabbit or we have to beat the terrorist. We can't give him a carrot to feed him. But,
Okay.
right? But other people would say, well, no, there are serious issues within that society that marginalize people that make them susceptible to joining these groups in the first place. So what I'm saying is I agree with you. There's room to talk about that and to help these people to not be recruited by Boko Haram and many other agencies and terrorist
Mm-hmm.
groups like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about. To me, it's about talking and educating people enough so that they are not recruitable by these
Yeah,
agents.
I like this point you made,
Thank you.
about
Expand on it. Go.
education.
Hmm.
Some of these people are not educated, and they are deliberately taken out of education so that they could be used to perpetuate some of these acts.
Right.
And then for poverty is also another point you made. You know, if you're able to empower people economically and give them opportunity to, you know, get income and be useful to themselves, some of these things will reduce. But you know what? People who are behind this, they don't want to give them education. They don't want them to understand that what they're doing is wrong. They don't even want them to be exposed. And so poverty is fueling this, and lack of education is also another factor. So I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of it's about the education. So obviously you're as educated as you could ever be, whether you're blind or not. When you have a PhD, that's as good as it gets, right? So if you were though to paint an accurate a depiction of the demographic of Nigeria, so now, let me start off by something that you already know. You probably already know, but if you didn't, it might surprise you, or probably not. only about 35 to 40% of the American population actually has a bachelor's degree, actually has an undergraduate degree. So many
Mm,
people in America actually don't go to college. Most, if you look at the stats, overwhelmingly, most don't, right? So what
okay.
really happens in Nigeria? So walk through the education. How does the education system work from about the age of 5? And how do people decide about going to university in Nigeria?
Well, it's in two, for my own assessments, it's in two areas. One is that in Nigeria, um, people basically want to go to the university, I mean, to the college, because they want to get a degree to work in the civil service. You know, some are not interested. They are into business activities. Some are into skill acquisition. But generally, the feeling here is that you have to get this before going into anything you want to do for yourself. So even if you don't want to continue in civil service, or you don't want to get involved in anything that will give you opportunity to use the certificate, people still feel that knowledge it's needed through the acquisition of this certificate, be it BSc, be it masters, be it PhD, before you go into any other field that you wishes to. Now, the other part of it is there are people who are looking for a job here. There is high level of unemployment in this country. And so sometimes if you have sponsorship, you could just go into the college or the university and continue studying until such a time you will have opportunity to be employed. So it's not like you wishes to, but because you don't want to stay idle, you don't want to be at home. So you just want to get into the university, continue researching, acquiring knowledge, and still wait for a time when, God will remember you and you'll be employed. So that's it.
Right. So primarily the reasoning why people go to university in Nigeria is actually very different from the reason why people go to university in America, in my opinion. Okay. So in your country, people go to university to be able to get a job. Okay. That's the main reason why people go to university in most
Yes,
countries. And,
it's a major
and,
reason. It's a
and
major
that's,
reason.
that's the right reason. In America, I found, and it's only my opinion, that some people go to university to get a job. Other people, though, and a lot of people go to university to build social connection, you know. So unfortunately, in America, many people in America grow up in a very isolating way. You might grow up in the countryside or something like that. And it can be very hard in American society even to make friends and to move up socially. So a lot of people go to
Why?
university.
Why is it like that?
Well, American people generally live in urban settings less frequently than you might. And so you typically live with your parents a lot longer in America. And you typically live with your family for many, many years. And this has been an ongoing thing that has been something that has increased in America, and especially since the pandemic times. People are living in larger groups now in America, where people might live with two or three roommates instead of one, or you might live with your cousins or your family members. But primarily though, people go to university, yes, to get a job, but they also go to interact with other people. And this can create a lot of tension in America. Everybody has to have an opinion apparently, and there's a lot of drama in my estimation, and in my opinion, there's a lot of drama in the universities where everybody has to be right and everybody's opinion's the only right opinion. So that does cause a lot of disruption from time to time, where I think in your country, hopefully the people would be a little bit more focused in university and just focused on the knowledge and the information. But yeah, that's that's sort of one of the main differences about
Oh,
about
okay.
those two things. Yeah. And by the
Oh,
way, that's just my opinion, by the way. I'm giving an opinion. I'm not
it's
saying what
okay.
facts. That's my
Yeah.
perception primarily based upon my personal experience. So that's
Okay.
how I got that opinion. But you might talk to other people all over the country who, and certainly later when you are added into the many groups here at Aaron's Opinion, you'll meet other guests from all other countries, and they might tell you very different things. So who knows? But that is a very interesting thing. So primarily, people go to university in Nigeria to work in the civil service or the government. Okay, and then and then what? And then what would happen though if so? What happens in Nigeria if you don't go to university, but you want to learn a trade? Let's say you want to be an electrician or a barber or a plumber or a chef, or you want to do sort of a fun job like that. How would that work in Nigeria?
It works well. It works well. Like I earlier said, which you also captured very well. You go to the university to expand your knowledge. Not necessarily that you can't even do any other, you can't delve into other things after going to the university. There are drivers with PhD in Nigeria here. There are drivers with master's degree. There are people in business still with higher degrees. So it doesn't stop you from doing a few other things for yourself, even after going to the university. The point here is that we see it as a way of enriching your brain, and making you be more exposed to doing whatever you want to do. So
Right.
you can do any other thing in Nigeria. It's allowed.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. So in other words, in Nigeria, they would have special schools for that. Like if someone wants to be an automotive mechanic, they would go to a special training course for that, right? There's a lot of these technical jobs require a lot of training and knowledge, actually. So, yeah, do they have like trade schools in Nigeria?
Yeah, for the sighted people, not
Hmm.
for the low vision. We
Right.
haven't we haven't come to that point where blind people can
Hmm.
learn some of these things you mentioned.
Yeah.
But you could be a musician.
Hmm.
There are schools, special school for the blind, where you could learn how to play different musical instruments.
Hmm. Right.
There are other places where you can learn how to weave, how to make bags, and a few other things, crafts, in general. So
Hmm.
these places are available, but not technology. I don't think. Okay, the only part of technology that we can handle here is computer.
Hmm.
We teach people, how to make use of laptops, JAWS,
Yeah.
you know. So I think to this extent, we could say that we are also involved in technology in Nigeria, but not to the auto mechanic, engineering, and all of that.
Hmm. Sure. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
All right. And yeah, what can you tell me about your knowledge in anthropology, by the way? Anthropology, the study of man, right? Studying people. So, yeah, what section of anthropology struck your interest?
Well, I must confess that I didn't quite delve into the field of anthropology. I focus more on sociology. In Nigeria, or in my university, sociology and anthropology goes together, but we do more of sociology, the study of the society.
Hmm.
And so we didn't quite do much on anthropology. And personally, I didn't have interest to research further. And some of the courses that has to do with anthropology, I skipped them.
Hmm.
And that was why when I finished, I continued with peace and conflict resolution.
Hmm.
So I may not be able to give
That's
more
all right.
details about it.
That's all right. It's very interesting, and I think. I think that, yes, you're right. Most people realize that most people do not do all the research of anthropology. It's a very specific thing. And most people do not complete that level of research. That's a very specialized field that most people think initially is intriguing initially, but in America, it's very hard to find work in that field. You can be a lecturer, at a university, but it is very hard to find it. It can be interesting at certain times, though. Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So that's all very interesting. And then, what can you tell me though about your experience, like applying to work as a lecturer at your university? How did that work?
Okay. Well, here we are given specific areas of um, teaching, I may call it. Like in my field, you could teach conflict. You could also be allowed to teach things like women in conflict. You have so many areas, but personally, I handle a course we call conflict 101. That is the introduction part of the conflict. So that's what I teach. And also remember, or maybe I didn't tell you, I have a parallel appointment. So I also teach in the Department of Special Education because I have some of my certifications in education. So I still teach some courses in special education. And in that education, we have very many aspects. We have the visual impairment, we have the hearing impairment, um, sections or units, We have the learning disability unit. You have the creativity, talent unit. You have um, a few other ones. These are things that as a lecturer you are assigned, or these areas are the areas you can be assigned to handle as a lecturer. And maybe after 3 years you could change to another one, but you know that you must have to read, you have to research in these areas, have your publications produced in these areas. So as a lecturer, it's fun.
Right. Absolutely. Very good.
This opportunity.
Sure, sure. Excellent. All right. Yeah. So let's kind of delve into into the section of special education, right? So, when you teach the course in special education, for one, what are you teaching the students when you teach them, when you lecture about special education, what exactly do you teach them? And are you teaching students who are sighted and do not have other abilities or disability, or do you teach some students who are blind or have disability? So what has been your experience in teaching special education?
Oh, come on. I like this question. Because this question will also broaden a lot of minds. In special education, it is not for those of us who are living with disability alone. People do ask this question often. Whenever they hear special education, they think that you go there, you can only find persons with disability. No, we admit students from both the both the sighted and non-sighted, as it were. In my class, I have only three visually impaired students in a class of 29. So 26 of them are perfectly okay with their sight. And so that's what it is. And then, like I said, there are many areas. It depends on what you are given to teach. I measure in visual impairment field or unit. And so whatever I do, the publications like teaching Braille, mobility studies, and a few other things we do in that area. You are allowed to do that, teach the students, and also examine them on that. And other lecturers are also teaching in other areas. Like I mentioned earlier, You have those who are hearing impaired section, gifted and talented, and all of that. So that's it.
Beautiful. You super cool. So, and I forget because we've been speaking for several weeks, and I've been doing a lot of different things. I forget if I mentioned it, but I'm happen to be a bilingual guy. I'm bilingual English French, and I know that you speak many languages. You speak Igbo, is one of your languages, certainly. So, what can you tell me about, Braille in Nigeria and Braille literacy in Nigeria? So, for example, how does the Braille code work if you want to write a Braille note to someone in Igbo, for instance? I'm truly,
That's
by the way, I'm truly fascinated by the languages of
so
your
that well,
country. I'm
that's
fascinated by it.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Braille. It's it's um it's a method of reading and writing. The letters are the same. Like I spelled my name for you a while ago, Chukwuemezie. It's an Igbo name, so I can also write it with Braille. You still write C as in English. You want to write can, the same thing. So the only thing is just for you to know the spelling of that particular Igbo word that you want to write. So you still follow the same pattern. The letters are the same, everything. Just spell it well. And whoever that reads Igbo or whoever that can understand Igbo language, when reading, will know that this is an Igbo word, not an English word.
Amazing. What beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So basically you would use if you're going to type in Braille to someone in Igbo, you would write, non-contracted. You would spell the words how they're spelled, right? Yeah,
Yes,
without
in
the,
Igbo, exactly. The
right.
same way. Just spell it the way it is in Igbo. Like, I'll give you example. If you want to say com, and com is in English. If you want to write in Igbo, you say bia, bia, BIA,
Mm-hmm.
bia. So still the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if you are saying um, lovely, good, odema is good in Igbo.
So you would write that out, right?
Of
Excellent. Mhm.
D is still there. So just know how to spell the Igbo word or sentence you want to write,
Right,
and
right.
use the alphabets and do justice to it.
Beautiful. Super, super good. Yeah, yeah. So, but when you're lecturing, are you mostly lecturing in English when you speak to the students?
Oh yeah,
That's good. Hmm.
that's the standard language.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. So in the universities, is it just a standard that the lecturers lecture in the English language, or is it just up to the lecturer and up to the students what language is used in the university?
No, no, it's a standard, but
Okay.
it doesn't stop you because you are talking to people that are Igbos, most of them, not
Hmm.
necessarily all of them. You could also try sometimes to give examples in Igbo,
Right. Hmm.
but but you just have to speak in English. That's the standard.
That's really good. Really, really excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, what other languages do you speak, by the way? So you speak Igbo, English, and what other languages can you speak? Are you fluent in?
Well, for now, I speak only these two languages. I'm in the process of learning French.
Oh,
I
very
like
good.
French.
My
Yeah,
language.
so
Hmm.
maybe because you know how to speak French,
Yeah.
you could be my teacher going forward.
I would, I would love to be. No, seriously, I love talking about teaching people French moving forward. Um, it's just, I've never taught a blind PhD from Nigeria French, but I'd be more than happy to speak to him in French.
So I will be interested as well.
Oh, that's really cool, man. Really, really good. Yeah. What intrigues you? What intrigues you and what motivates you about the French language? Is it simply the way it sounds, the beautiful sound, the culture, the history? What intrigues you about it?
All right. I personally want to add to the knowledge of my language. I want to
Mm-hmm.
learn French.
Good.
That's one. Secondly, like you rightly pointed out, I like the way it sounds. I remember back in those days learning the elementary part of it. Savvy.
Hmm.
Um, can I still remember?
Yeah,
So,
ça
but I
va?
know.
Ça va bien? Ça va?
Oh,
Mhm. Ça va?
yeah. So I like the way it sounds,
Yeah.
and I think it's also the most populous language after English in the world.
That is the fascinating part about that. It is one of the languages that has one of the largest speaker groups. In other words, many millions of people speak French who are not French people, which is a very important thing. Many people from countries in Africa all over near Nigeria speak French. So that would be a reason to learn it for sure. Yes.
Exactly. I also
Hmm.
have a friend, he's a colleague. He speaks
Hmm.
French very well, and so
Right.
sometimes we will be talking, and he would want to say a few things to someone
Hmm.
in French, and I wouldn't get to hear what they're saying. So I feel so deprived of the company. So I said, look, I'm going to learn this to make sure I spy on this guy. You know,
That's pretty cool. Yeah. And
so that's part of.
what country is your friend from? What country is he from where he speaks
No, it's
French?
it's my brother. It's my brother.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Igbo.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it pains me most because we are all here. So
Okay.
if he tries to do anything, he wants to do anything funny, he wants to speak French
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because he knows I can. I wouldn't be able to hear what he's saying. So that's why I said, look, for me to get to, you know, give him what
Hmm.
he deserves, I have to learn
Right.
this.
Now we pulled off the motivation. It's just to get even. It's just to get even with your friend. There you go. That's the real reason.
Hmm.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. That's cool, man. All right. All right.
Mm.
Well, I think that's really important though, that you teach special education. And another interesting question that goes along with special education is the laws and the legal system. So what do the laws of Nigeria say about people with disabilities, and what do you know about special education law in Nigeria?
Well, rich man, we're still a developing country.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, the laws are not just the problem of this country.
Sure.
The implementation of the laws, for me, are the major challenge.
Hmm.
Um, Most of the laws we have here, if well implemented, we will be able to have a good footing, things working well for persons living with disability. I can give you examples,
Please, yeah, please give
Recently, a friend
example.
of mine boarded an airline. He wanted to fly to not outside the country. I'm talking of within the country from one
Domestic,
state to another.
like a domestic airline. Yes.
And
Hmm.
that yeah, exactly. And he was refused, you know, boarding the airline simply because of what? He is blind.
Hmm. Right.
Now, we have laws that guard against some of these things. But are they being implemented? No. And so even though the laws can still be improved on, but I don't think that the laws are the problem. The problem is the willpower, to implement these laws to make it work. And that's why I said for you to survive in Nigeria as someone with disability, it takes a whole lot. You literally will do everything for yourself because the government does not plan for you. Whatever help you get, whatever assistance you get, is through struggle, and it doesn't speak good about us. But I believe with time we'll get there.
Sure, absolutely. And the more time you spend speaking up and educating me and educating other people on podcasts all over the world, the easier it will be, because this is more knowledge. The reason why podcasting is great is it spreads knowledge. So absolutely. Yeah, really good. Really, really, really fascinating. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. And then I think that that paints a very direct and clear picture. And then, specifically, I mean, you kind of touched on it before earlier today, but when you teach your other course in conflict peace, peace resolution, that's obviously very different from special education, but exactly what are some of the key points and the key topics that that course covers when you teach that one? Hmm.
Okay, our students are eager to know how they can actually navigate through some of the conflicts
Hmm.
that they have even within themselves. Conflict is not all about the terrorism attacks,
Sure.
all of that. You still have conflicts even within yourself. You have conflict in the family. You know,
Hmm.
you have relational conflicts. So we deal with all of that, and we understand that for you to really define conflict, you must look at the immediate and the root causes, and then at the end of the day, you find solutions from the same immediate and root causes. So conflict is something that is synonymous with almost everything that we do in life. It's in politics, it's in our social life, in everything. So we educate them on all of that.
That's excellent. That's really, really good. And the other thing that I found to be really fascinating, that another fun thing you mentioned, so you're a musician. So does that mean that you have produced music that's on Spotify, by the way?
Oh yeah, I sing very well. Fortunately, I haven't been able to learn how to play some musical instruments,
Hmm.
but I sing well. I have a couple of albums that I have produced.
Oh, good.
You
And
know, I
are those
remember.
albums on, oh, are they on Spotify, by the way?
Oh, well, we are trying to upload. We're trying to upload. So, about 3 weeks ago, my marketer decided that we are going to start uploading. So very soon, you'll have them there.
Okay. But the reason I'm asking is because we at Aaron's Opinion, we have a playlist on Spotify called Aaron's Opinion Select. And this is a playlist I have curated over the years after interviewing many blind people and one-sighted person who are musicians. So when you're a musician and you're on the show here at Aaron's Opinion, I can put your album on into my Spotify playlist and then share the playlist. And it's a great way to get your music played and to make your music known around the world. So yeah, it's really good.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's good. Maybe when we finally get it done, I'll
Hmm.
send to you so
Sure,
that
you
you
can
can
send me the
upload.
album. You can send me your Spotify album, and then I can add your album into my playlist. And then I'll send you the playlist. I'll send you the playlist back. And then not only can you hear your album, but then you'll hear all the other artists. So you'll hear everybody else who has been interviewed
Very nice. Very
who are
nice.
musicians.
I'm interested.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Yeah, Spotify is and building playlists. I mean, it's really powerful. You can connect countries just by playlists. That's a really, really powerful tool now. That's a
Oh
lot.
yes.
That's really developed over the years. Spotify has grown massively over the years. It started out as a little tiny little thing, and nobody knew what it was at first, but now everybody knows the word Spotify. That's a major company. It's a major thing in society. Yeah, really good.
Exactly. I listen to music using the podcast. I'm sorry,
Uh,
the Spotify.
I
So
think, and I think from a blindness perspective, I always think that Spotify is the easiest to use, by the way. It's the most accessible and the easiest to use of all the
it
apps.
is. It
Yeah,
is. It is very very. You can also create your own playlists.
exactly.
Listen to whatever you want to listen.
Yeah,
So it's a good app.
it's a beautiful thing. So, well, that really paints a tremendously beautiful picture about who you are as a person. And by the way, I will certainly learn from you any day. Any day you want to teach me about your knowledge and give me more knowledge, I definitely accept it from you, man, because you're doing
Oh,
tremendous.
my pleasure.
Yeah, you're doing
My pleasure.
tremendously good
So
things.
we don't have reasons to look for each other because you are going to teach me French, and I'm going to teach you a few things from my field of knowledge. So,
From your perspective. And I find that by doing this podcast and by having these conversations, I find that not only do I feel better, not only is it medicine for me, it's medicinal in my own life, but I'm noticing that other parts of the world need your knowledge. They need to have these conversations. So the other
oh
huge thing
yes,
too,
yes.
you know, the
I even forgot.
mhm,
I forgot to tell you that
sure.
I am a deputy director of University of Nigeria Disability Support Center.
Uh-huh.
Aside teaching, there's the administrative part of what we do here. The moment you become a director or a deputy director, you are now at the administrative position,
Mhm.
a kind of leadership role to counsel, direct students, be their academic
Mhm.
advisor, and help them to navigate through the challenges, especially those of them who are persons living with disability. So the center was created because of that. And so we oversee the education of students that are in this university, you know, who are
Mhm.
going through one stops or the other.
Right, right. Absolutely.
We, so it's a very, you know, um, noble idea by the university authority to create a center for persons with disability. So I am director. I mean the deputy director, and we are pushing it. You know.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So good. No, I think you did mention that actually, but that's all excellent. So, when I was speaking with our mutual friend Mariana from the Romania office of Aaron's Opinion,
Mm.
as I call it, she said that you though created this wonderful charity organization, the Confidence, as in you, Visionary
Yeah,
Scholars Foundation.
Confidence Visionary Scholars
So
Foundation.
really walk me through. So I have some questions, right? So how do charities really work in Nigeria? How does yours work and really work through? So what is that thing that I've been hearing about? What is it?
Okay, Confidence Visionary Scholars Foundation is a foundation focused on helping the young blind adults to access, formal education and assistive technology and get them mentored and counseled. So we are focused on students, mostly. We are also focused on young blind adults. So it's not like it's for everyone. So from time to time, we organize seminars and we give out scholarships. We give out some educational aids to help them, and more importantly, to mentor them. Because even if you give someone the materials, the resource, and everything, and you're not able to put them through on how to navigate the turns of life, they may not be able to put all of that in a very good use. So basically, we focus on mentorship. So my foundation, though is young, but we are trying our best, and we also showcase talents. If you are someone with visual impairment and you got a nice voice to sing, or you've got something to tell the world that you do well, we give you a platform to showcase your talent. But majorly our problem is funding.
Right. Absolutely.
A whole lot we want to do for our people.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't got the money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Understood. Yeah, that's really, really wonderful that you're doing that. Are you a member of your Lions Club, by the way? Surely you know about Lions Club, right?
No, I'm not, but I would like to be.
Right, right. But so do you know, surely you've heard of Lions Clubs though, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah, because that's a lot of what Lions clubs do as well. Is find people who are deserving, who are blind, who need these types of support, and that's really really beautiful and really good. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what exactly did you do to like set up an organization like that in Nigeria? Do you have to, go through an attorney or a lawyer? Like how does that work?
Okay, if you want to register um, a charity in Nigeria, you have to write to there's an agency responsible for that, Corporate Affairs Commission. You
Hmm.
write to them, they assess your request, they have their criteria for doing that. And then if eventually you are accepted, then the the charity will be approved.
All
And
right.
so we went through all the processes. We have our certificates. We have all the documents, and we're fine. You know.
Very good. Very good. Very, very good. All right. Well, that's really good. Yeah, super fascinating, and I certainly hope that people, that listeners of the show, will express interest in that and things like that. That is really really fascinating. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I'll be happy to have them,
Yeah,
and they can
absolutely.
also look us up on Facebook.
Hmm.
Confident Visionary Scholars Foundation.
Yeah, I have the
Yeah,
page,
well,
and you're wearing very beautiful clothing. You have a great profile picture that'll be great episode art for it. So yeah, no, I saw that. Because that's how I got in contact with you. As I say, Mariana gave me your Facebook page, and she's
oh
like,
yeah.
she's like, that's the guy. She's like, there he is, right there.
But
Contact.
but but but
Yeah.
but Richman, you keep saying that you were able to see this, you were able to find this, you were able to,
Uh-huh.
and you
Yeah.
still tell me that you are a blind man. So how does it work?
Sure. Thank you for asking. No problem. So when I was born with glaucoma, and I still have glaucoma. But my doctor in the United States was able to give me some usable vision. So I do have some usable vision, but I'm blind and I cannot read print. I'm a braille reader. I cannot drive a car or have a driver's license or anything like that. And I certainly cannot read print at all. But I'm able to use my usable vision along with voiceover to navigate these things. So that's how I was able
Oh,
to tell.
okay. Oh,
That
beautiful.
is fine. Yes. So in America, we would say that, the word blind in America can mean many things. And in American society, many blind people have some degree of usable vision. And that's why it's a challenge in America, because it's all a spectrum. There's no one
Mhm.
size fits all. So yes, you were right to
Yeah.
ask that. And then I can explain, well, I can see some
Yes. Well
things,
understood.
but
Mm.
good, but not well enough. So that's how I
Mm.
know all of these various things. At any rate, so how do you spend your time when you're not teaching and lecturing and helping all these people? What are some of your hobbies that I would never guess you do, or things like that? What do you think?
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
I like listening to music when I'm relaxing.
Uh-huh.
I like, music, especially jazz, Kenny G type of music, Kenny
Hmm.
G then.
Okay.
So yeah, I like, and some, nice gospel music. So
Hmm.
I relax. And then I like making friends as well.
Very
And
good.
sometimes when I'm not teaching, I know they come around my office.
Hmm.
We sit together, we talk,
Hmm.
analyze the economic situation, the polity, you know, a whole lot. So I like keeping friends around me.
That's really good. That's the
And
right
then
attitude.
sometimes when I'm done with all of that, I just want to be quiet. Just take a moment, be on my own.
Okay.
You know, so that's it.
Well, I certainly agree with that. That's all very good. Yes. So I'm sure that over this past hour, because believe it or not, we've been speaking for over an hour, and you've done a beautiful job, as I knew you would, as all of our great guests do. So I'm sure, though, confidence that you have a lot of questions for Aaron Richmond and Aaron's opinion and everything that I've experienced in my life so far. So really dig under my skin and really, you can really make me sweat. What do you really want to know about me, Aaron's opinion? What do you really want to know, man?
So so what it means is that the the interview is now turning over to you. So I am now the interviewer. You become the interview.
Correct. This is something I always enjoy because guests ask really, really beautiful questions that are really fun to answer. Right. Yes.
Okay, I've been able to ask one. When you had to explain to me about the level of your blindness, you know, your vision
Hmm.
and all of
Right.
that. So that's settled. So I want to ask you because I told you here that I am a family man. I have my wife. I have a child. I have 4 kids. I mean,
Beautiful.
so I'd like to know about yours. Are you married?
Luckily not. I'm single. And I live with my parents. I live with my mother and father, and we have a dog, and we live as a family together. Hmm.
Okay. You told me that you are a teacher, right?
Correct. Hmm.
So that's what you do for a living.
Correct. So I teach English as a second language online to many different companies, a couple different companies, and students will come to me online on an online platform similar to Zoom, and we go over lessons together. We speak about various topics and things like that, you know? So that's how I make my living. And then of course, you make some money with the podcast and things like that. And then I'm also active in my Lions Club and I'm active in my community where I live. I live a very, very active life.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
you are a member of Lions Club.
correct.
In other words, if I want to partner with Lions Club,
Hmm.
will it be possible?
Well, my advice to you is if you want to be in a Lions Club, you should look it up. Join your club there in Nigeria. I'm sure that there are probably Lions clubs in Nigeria, and so you would contact them there in Nigeria and join a club there. Hmm. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Hmm.
But the question I'm asking is not about the membership. I'm asking about partnering with them. You know, with my NGO. Do they
Yes,
have provisions for
I
such
really. The answer
partnership?
is I do understand you. I really have no idea. I don't know how that works.
Okay.
In some cases I've heard, yes, in some cases clubs have partnered with charity organizations over the years, yes. But I don't really, but I don't, I'm not involved in it. That is something that is done not at a club level, but that's done more at a district or a regional. Those are regional decisions,
Oh
not
yes, no
individual
problem.
clubs.
No problem.
That's kind of more of
Okay,
a
so
higher level.
so
Yeah.
Aaron Richman, tell me what's your perception about Nigerians?
So, as you sort of noticed by talking to me, and as I forgot if I mentioned it, so I'm probably repeating myself, which is one of the side effects of talking to me. Sometimes I say things more than once. Um,
Mm,
you noticed, and I'm sure you picked up on it, that when I mentioned that I know about your languages, I knew that your language was called Igbo, right? And I was very familiar with it. The reasoning
oh
why I
yeah.
was familiar with that language is actually many years ago, I had a professor in my university who actually was an anthropologist, he was the son, um, and I'll tell you more off air. But now I think he's probably retired, but or I hope he's enjoying retirement by now because he was actually a very nice
Mm,
man. He is the son of a very, very famous and prolific anthropologist in America from the 20th century. And he taught at my university. And ironically, in some twist of conversation, it came out that which is true. I actually have a Nigerian friend who is blind and he lives in America now. And he also has a lot of the same interests as we do. And, he's also probably going to be a lecturer just like you. So, but he's not from your part of Nigeria. I think he's from Lagos or Abuja, I'm pretty sure he's
okay.
from Lagos. So he
Okay.
definitely doesn't speak Igbo. He speaks Yoruba and his mother spoke Hausa. But yet at any rate, I actually became very familiar over the past many years with this other Nigerian guy that I know. And I have spoken to many other Nigerians about life in Nigeria, about the languages, about the society and things like that. So that's how I knew all of that stuff. And that's how I was so aware of
Okay.
Nigeria. Um, but but yeah, to go back to it, this one professor that I had, he actually, now he's not Nigerian, he's an American guy, but he actually went to Nigeria this guy was really actually at the time I didn't realize how interesting he was, but he is a very interesting man. He went to Nigeria in the 1990s and did a whole anthropological study of Igbo land and the Igbo people. So that's how I knew all of that stuff. Um, I have to admit something. I kind of forgot your question. I know I really,
So no, I
yeah.
actually asked you,
Mhm.
personally, what's your perception?
Oh,
Perception. What do you think about Nigerians? You have heard, you have read a lot. You have seen a few Nigerians. In
I've
your own
spoken
general
to
assessment,
I've
what
spoken
do you
to a lot of
think?
them. Well, I
Mm.
think that what I really think my real opinion that I'm going to give you is I think that you're a great Nigerian, and I think that most Nigerians are great people. I also think that Nigeria is a great country with a great amount of potential and ability. The problem that I have and the problem that I see with Nigeria is the same problem you mentioned, is that it's a country riddled with problems that hold everybody back. So my perception of Nigeria is if only they would solve the problems they have, then they'd be great. Then they'd be even better. But considering that you're living in a country on the continent of Africa, I do know that Nigeria is considered to be one of the best and still one of the more stable
Okay,
societies.
okay. But
Sure.
if I would also ask,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think personally, Aaron Richman,
Mm-hmm.
your team can do for blind people in Nigeria, knowing fully well that this place is riddled with problems and all the things that you know about Nigeria. What do you think you can do personally to assist persons living with disability in Nigeria? Is there anything?
Well, I don't think there's anything that I am able to do at the moment, but what I will certainly do is make sure that the world is able to hear this beautiful podcast and that people in Nigeria are more than welcome to download and listen to our conversation. And I think there's a lot to be said for people absorbing knowledge, and things like that. As you connect with my groups and build out your story, you'll find that you will have more and more people to share your knowledge with. So my thing is that there's always going to be problems in every country, even in America. There's problems everywhere, really.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is you have to say to yourself, well, I'm just going to be successful anyway. And then what that really means is I'm just going to do the best I can. And you just have to
Okay,
try to
but
go, yeah, yes, go ahead.
okay, let me come back to you once again. Aside doing your
Hmm.
podcast, aside teaching English,
Hmm.
what else do you like doing as a person? Or do you
Well,
have any talent? Do you have musical talent? Do you do any other thing? I mean,
sure.
just talk to me about
Absolutely.
it.
So all through my childhood and schooling and university, I was actually a flutist. I played the flute and I have a great appreciation for classical music and all of that. Um,
Oh, really?
I also, have a great interest in language acquisition, the rate at which we learn language and the study
Oh,
of
yes.
languages. That's one of my huge hobbies and I mean, I wish I could be in language class all day. That's how much I love learning foreign languages. So I would say learning foreign
Wonderful.
languages is my cup of tea, is what I want to do now. And I wish that I had known that when I was younger because it would have helped me to build a career. But then again, we wouldn't be having the podcast if I had done other things. So who knows? The answer is who knows. We are where we are.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. The final question. I have just
sure.
two final questions for you. Just two.
That's fine. Ask
One,
all your
tell
questions.
me. Oh yeah, tell me your highest educational qualification, and then
Hmm.
also tell me what you think your podcast has added to this generation. I mean, the knowledge you think you have added to the wealth of knowledge. What impact you think? Because you've done this obviously over the years.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah,
Sure. Sure.
yeah,
Well, I mean, so
obviously. Are
my
you there?
yes, yes. So my
Yeah,
highest
because
level of
obviously
education.
you've actually done this over the years. So tell me, what impact you think you have made, you know, using your
Absolutely.
podcast? Thank you.
Sure. 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 Well, my highest level of education is a bachelor's degree in international relations. Hmm. And, that's the type of degree where you need to have more studies. You need to study more after you get that degree. And I didn't understand that at that time. I wish I did, but I just didn't. Um, I started Aaron's Opinion during the pandemic in 2020 because I want to give you a voice. I want to give you a chance to come up to my microphone and educate the world. And that's basically why I started it. I also started the podcast because I feel that there's not enough strong podcasts in the blindness community where blind people from all countries can come up to my microphone and talk about life. And it's really important to me that you, Confidence, and everybody else around the world has the privilege and opportunity to easily come up to my microphone and just have a great talk and have a great conversation. And that means everything to me, means everything to you, and it's really good for us, but it's really good for the future. So if you want to know about the future impact or what the impact is of a podcast, well, I don't know. Let's wait 20 or 30 years. 20 or 30 years ago, when we're old people, they'll be looking back and they'll say, yeah, there was that Aaron's Opinion guy and he spoke to some guy named Confidence. And yeah, that was,
Yeah, exactly.
so it's
Exactly.
not about, for me, it's really not. And I'm not saying it to be, I'm not saying it only to be humble, which I partially am, but I'm saying it to be accurate. For me, it's not about the impact. It's about the fact that I want to produce knowledge, is that I recognize in my heart that, let me put it to you like this. Let me level with you, right? A lot of students of mine ask me, just as students probably ask you questions, right? Students will come to me and they'll say, if I'm in an interview and I say, and the interviewer asks, what is one thing that I wish I would have done differently about my past? I say, there's only one great answer you can give. You should say, I wished that I had worked harder when I was younger. Because at some point in everybody's life, whether you have a PhD or not, there's always a point in time in life where you could have done something differently or better or harder, right?
Exactly.
So
You're right.
that's a very subtle answer, is that even PhDs, even you could work harder. Even me could work harder.
Yeah,
Even
yes, that's always improvement.
even
You
an
look for
auto mechanic or a barber can work harder, repair more
Mm-hmm.
cars,
Exactly.
cut more heads of hair, right? So that's a very subtle thing, is that I'm saying it because I'm giving out this knowledge to you because this is all knowledge that I want to be in the collective knowledge that I think all people will appreciate, sighted people, blind people, really people from anywhere will really gravitate towards this over time. So the impact is, well, obviously I have some impact because you came, because you recognize my impact. So the impact is, well, you're an impact. That's the impact. It's a
You
great
know what?
conversation.
You know what? I am very, very delighted to be part of your dream. This is my first ever podcast. I've granted interview in many other media outfits, Like I said, I was also a media man myself.
Well,
So
that's
I've
good.
got some friends around the country who are in the space, media space, and we still talk. They invite me to talk about topical issues and all of that. So, but this one, it's very, very okay for me. I
Hmm.
am happy to be here, and I wish we could go on and on. And I'm sure if there's the possibility of even coming back, maybe after doing a research that I'm conducting right now,
Hmm. Absolutely.
um, I might come here to share the outcome of the research. You are doing a wonderful job. And the amazing story that is coming out of this has encouraged me because you wouldn't know. I spoke to my friend from Romania extensively on this to be sure that I'm going to have a nice time with you. So the success story she gave really gladdened my heart. And so please do continue the good work. And I'm sure lives are being touched, people are being encouraged, and we learn together. I'm happy that you are also open to learning. So it's not just about hearing people's stories. You are also willing, ever ready to tell your own story. That's very, very different from what other people does. Thank you so very much for
From
having
my
me
heart
here.
to you, absolutely, man. From my heart to yours, thank you so much. It means everything to us, and that's so true. So, and you can certainly come back, and I hope that all guests, some guests come back, some don't, but it depends. Sometimes we have a series with a person and they do come back, and I certainly know that you'll be that person who will certainly contribute further as time goes on. Absolutely. But between now and then and then and now, if someone's listening to this episode and they want to get in touch with you, how can you be reached?
Okay, I'll give you my email and I'll also give you my phone number. Is that okay?
Sure, you can give out anything you want to give out. Sure. And I'll include the
Okay,
link in the
okay,
description too.
okay. My personal email is confidencechukwuemezie@gmail.com. That's C-O-N. Confidence actually can be well spelled by people around. Chukwuemezie is where I think they have a problem. So confidence Chukwuemezie. Chukwuemezie is spelled CHUKWUEMEZIE at gmail.com. And then my phone number is 08033880339.
All
I'm also
right.
on WhatsApp and I'm from Nigeria. So you can add the +234 as the code. My Facebook account, Confidence Visionary Scholars Foundation. We also have our contact address and everything on that page. And whatever. I mean, I'm open to conversation. I'm open to learn. I'm open to making new friends. I'm a happy guy, now.
Okay. Well, that's beautiful, man. Well, thank you so much, man. And it's absolute honor to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
So
You're doing
absolutely. And we will certainly keep in touch. Now we'll keep in touch a little later today and things like that. But
absolutely.
certainly until next time, from my heart to yours, thank you so much. That was fabulous. And until next time, everybody, help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow.